tonight, to drag the past out into the light. We're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other, carry each other. Well, it's too late tonight to drag the past out into the light. We're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other, carry each other.
Hello, let me just
Hello.
it off. So it's the first time we've tried our jingle. Hope you liked it.
It's a lovely song, actually, isn't it? Yeah, from Med3, Sally Holland of Med3 Music. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's really nice. I like it.
Okay, so back again.
Yeah, and I've got the coffee, so it's a proper cafe Zoom show today. Oh, I got up a bit late this morning, so coffee is well needed.
Yeah.
So welcome to I think this is our 4th session now. We're running these all through the program for the Mental Wealth Academy. We've started some of our courses now, and tonight we're going to focus on Carolyn's course, aren't we? And we're going to talk about sort of where that came from.
Yeah, it's been great this week to kind of finally launch. So we had the mindfulness session on Monday, and yesterday the journal writing course started, and yeah, it's just fantastic to see people joining in and getting involved. So my course is the Discover Yourself course, which is not starting this week. It's starting at the end of next week on the 10th of July. So plenty of time to sign up. But I was just going to talk a little bit, about where it came from and a little bit about the framework.
Yeah, brilliant. While you're doing that, I'm just going to share this to a couple of groups so people know we're live.
Okay.
And I'll put a comment up. I've put in the actual comment of the video the phone number to phone in, because we're going to ask some questions towards the end. But I'll put it in a comment as well, just in case you don't see it. Yeah, okay, over to you.
Okay. So the Discover Yourself course is kind of based on it's something called that I call the 5 C's framework for good mental health and well-being. And obviously during coronavirus, this is something that we're all working hard on, to be honest. It's important for everyone to be looking after our kind of emotional and mental resilience. So I kind of developed this framework in 2010, 2011, and just to say a little bit about my experience, because it came out of my experience, what happened then. I'd been running a well-being, a kind of arts and well-being venue in Portsmouth since 2007, which I'd set up. I literally opened the doors of that venue a month before the credit crunch, so it was not a good time basically to run a business. But I did keep it going for about 3 years, but at a big cost on lots of levels. And when I had to close it down in 2010, it was a huge blow really for me, and I was kind of devastated psychologically by it. But I was also very determined that going through that experience, that it wasn't going to, or that I needed to work on my mental health during the actual process of closing it all down, and that I had to work really hard on that. And the reason I knew I needed to work really hard on my mental health was that some kind of 20 years earlier, I'd had a really serious mental health breakdown, which meant that I'd lost my job and and was diagnosed with clinical depression and severe anxiety disorder, and this gas, you know, and it was awful.
Hard
It was
time.
really, really bad experience. So I was absolutely determined that I was not going to go through this again. And also I'd learned a lot from running this wellbeing venue, learned a huge amount over the years. So I started to look at how could I work on my own mental health. And I think I was doing a course at the time myself around self-development and kind of putting it together. So I developed this 5 C's framework, which I then used to look after my own mental health and really work hard on it. And then I started to use it with other people. So as I was trying to kind of reinvent myself, if you like, after this the experience of having to close the venue, and which was my business, and I'd just put everything into it. So I started to use it with other people and started to kind of develop it more. And to be honest, it's felt like it's just developed more and more legs, if you like, over the years. I've used it in courses and workshops. I use it in all kinds of ways to analyze situations, and it feels like a very positive framework. So it's not about focusing in on what the problems are. It's about it's recognizing the difficulties and problems, but it's about looking at how to build ourselves up again from hard places. So
Lovely ethos. So tell us a bit about what actually the 5 C's framework is.
Okay, so I use the image of a figure to try and explain it. So if you think about the legs, our legs are what keep us balanced and kind of, keep us grounded and rooted in the world, if you like. So the legs I call character and composure. So character is about thinking about our values and our story, how we tell a story to ourselves, and understanding our strengths, skills, and resources. So that's character. And then composure is about learning how to create that bit of distance between ourselves and our thoughts and emotions. And we can learn how to do that in lots of different ways. Mindfulness that's a big thing with mindfulness, but there's ways like, connecting with nature, being involved in, absorbing activities. There's lots of different ways with all these C's that we can develop them. So those, I think, of the 2 legs of our mental health, really important. And then the arms are like the kind of reaching out to others. So you've got connection, which is about we often think of that as about our close relationships, but I like to also talk about our wider social network, because I think that's what often gives us our kind of sense of belonging and status and meaning, all sorts of things. So connection is really important. And then the other arm that I use is creativity.
Okay.
Because I think that's also a way in which we reach out and connect to the world, both ways, really. So for us as individuals, being creative, and it's also about having fun and playing and all those kind of things. They're important forms of connecting with the world, but also expressing our feelings in ways that we may not be able to talk about. And also the experience of art, so great art in terms of music, dance, art, all kinds of art. It helps us connect with our deepest feelings. So we get a lot of solace, in difficult times from art. We get inspiration from art, all those things. And then the head of the body is challenge. So that's the bit which is about our learning and development and growth. And challenge is hard because it puts us it always feels uncomfortable. So we often, especially if we're in a state of distress, emotional distress, we'll retreat into comfort zones because that feels safer, and that's it's a natural thing to do. And challenge is that bit of how do we expand that comfort zone? How do you take those small steps to build it up again? And recognizing that it is uncomfortable. It's always difficult when you're learning new things, but it's building up the confidence to know that you can get to the other side of that.
Yeah. But I like that though, because you've got the legs underneath, the things that keep
Yes.
you grounded, and then the reaching out, the connection, and the creativity, the expression, and all those things underneath that challenge. So it's really strength based, isn't it? It's really thinking about what resources you've got that to manage and be able to hold that strength. I like that.
Exactly. And the thing with the what I try and do with the course then is take people through their own journey through the 5 C's. So because often oh God, I lost my train of thread there. What it is individually we are all quite different as well. So that I always think with men, particularly when we're talking about mental health and building up our resilience and dealing with difficult issues around mental health, it's often that there's kind of someone will say, try this will work, or I've done this, it really helps. But it's not one size fits all for everybody. So it's partly about, so the course basically is about doing a kind of self-assessment of what are my stronger areas, because we're all good at some areas, and other areas we're not so strong on, and need to learn more about. So
and you just made me think of an analogy there, where you've got the legs holding up that challenge, and if anyone else watching does any kind of sport or dance, I find when I dance, one leg is always stronger. I always have one side where a move is a little bit easier.
Yes, that's really interesting, because I was just going to say a little bit of myself. I am quite strong on the character side of my leg, so I have had to work on it, but I'm quite good at knowing my values and and worked on my story a lot over the years, but I really had to work hard on the composure side, and I still find that a challenge, is to kind of build in the routines and the practice that you need. So I do have now all kinds of strategies to help with composure, but that was an area so I did have to work on strengthening my left leg more than my right leg in terms of mental health, because I was a bit lopsided.
That's really interesting. And that idea of needing to do a little bit of extra practice, or a little bit of extra work on one area, having a few techniques to bring in, and having that on the course, that element of self-discovery where you're noticing, where are my strengths,
Exactly,
what are the things that I do to reach out and connect, what are the things that I do to be creative, and then what have I got holding me up.
Yes, exactly. And to build, by the end of the course, the idea is to build a kind of personal action plan, so that relates to people's own circumstances and personalities, and it's something that they can take away, hopefully, as a kind of action plan for the future.
It sounds fab. It sounds amazing. So when did you say it launches?
So it starts on July the 10th, with a kind of I mean, it's live webinar on the first day, in the sense that I'll be watching it as well. So I think that's 7 o'clock in the evening on the Friday, and I'll be watching and can kind of communicate so the webinar itself is pre-recorded, but I'll be there, and can kind of have an exchange and chat with people. And then the in between sessions are that people can download each week. So there'll be a new session downloaded each week with exercises for people to have a go at in their own time. And then at the end, there'll be a kind of final webinar as well.
Nice.
That's the
Sounds
plan.
good. Yeah. And so it's open for sign-ups now. So you can sign up at any time from now. In fact, you can sign up at any time throughout the course, and the webinar after it happens will be uploaded into the website. All the worksheets, as Karen said, will be downloadable, and then the presentation will be there that you can watch at any time. So it sounds good. I think I might do it myself. We decided to use the YouTube Premiere to do the webinar. So it is pre-recorded, but it will launch at a certain time using the don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but YouTube now have this facility where you can make a pre-recorded video look as though it's going live. So you get the chat, it launches at that time. So if you log into the YouTube at that time, you'll get the link to it, and you can log in. It will be like a live video. But what we're doing for Carolyn's course and for mine that we'll talk about later on another day is we'll be there just in the chat. And we thought that was the best way to manage it, because otherwise we've got to pay out quite a lot of money for all the special gubbins, and we just wanted it to be accessible, really. It didn't have to be that fancy, so hopefully it works.
Right. Is there any questions?
So somebody said, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Sammy. Just put one word there. Somebody's commented something. But does anyone want to call in and tell us how your experience has been with any online courses? Anything that you're concerned about, or any problems that you faced, or things that you found really good? Does anyone want to kind of give us a comment? Or there's also a telephone number if anyone brave wants to phone in, talk to us.
It did work last time, didn't it? We had Sandy rang in and talked to us about mindfulness.
Yeah, it was good. It worked well. The only thing to be aware of is just to make sure that you mute the video when you call in, because there's a 20-second delay, and then when you come into the call, we hear what we said 20 seconds ago, so it's a little it doesn't quite work so well. But once that's off, it's brilliant. Works good. Yeah, so if anyone's got anything to say, leave us a comment about how you found doing any online work during the lockdown. Is this the first time that you've done anything online? Are you now feeling familiar with Zoom, where previously you may not have even known about it? Or were you already online? Were you doing all this stuff already and loving it? We want to know.
Shall I say something about some of the other courses that are coming up, just to so we've also got an art and wellbeing course coming up, run by Janet Ayres. So again, that's it's intended to be a very accessible course. You don't need lots of materials. You can kind of make do with all kinds of things that you can find about the house to have a go at some art. So beginners very welcome, and I'm quite keen to have a go at that. I feel that's another of my weak areas is creativity, and I always feel like I'm just playing, which is fine, that's great, isn't it? But being a serious person, I'm not really supposed to play, so I have difficulty with that. So that would be great to have an excuse to play. And there's the embodiment through movement course. Did you want to say a little bit about that, Sarah, because you know more about it than me?
Yes, yeah, sure. So it's run by Katie Holland, who is quite a renowned belly dancer in the in the sort of the community of belly dance. And she's done a lot of work on meditation, spent a lot of time in India studying some of the very sort of what she calls sacred dance, I think. And it's been taught by some people who are really into a lot of specific movements for meditation. So she's developed her own style of mixing meditation style movements with some belly dance technique. And she's going to run a course around movement and relaxation. She says it's a powerful tool, and it can release some emotions. And there's some grounding videos that we've got in the course as well to do. And it just sounds really interesting theme, and a really open way of working. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, there's quite a few people signed up to it. If you miss one of the live sessions, you can always watch it in the course afterwards.
Yeah, I really want to join in that as well. I think movement is, I mean, I've done yoga for many years, and that was kind of my introduction really to mindfulness. Probably I kind of realized when I learned about mindfulness that I'd been doing a lot of it in yoga. So that idea, I find that very really important, I think.
Yes.
And I love the idea of linking it with dance, I think.
Yeah, get the body, it's kind of like getting the body ready, because I find if I haven't gotten my body ready to do any sort of mindfulness relaxation or any sort of meditation, then I'm all twitchy and I'm all kind of fidgety. But if I've done some movement, then that really helps. Yeah, so it's really exciting. We'll probably get Katie on to call in to one of the Chit-Chat cafes in the future, just before the course starts, because it's one of the ones later on, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it's more end of July, I think it starts. Yeah. And I was going to say, you've got your course as well, doing working through worry.
Yes, yeah. So this is based in some CBT and self-compassion approach therapies, and it's really about managing worry. So at the moment, this is a time when I think a lot of us are worrying about the future. We're worrying about the uncertainty. It's very difficult at the moment to manage any particular types of plans, because things are so uncertain, and things over the last 3 months have been changing really rapidly. So the course is designed to offer some skills, some techniques, some ideas, and a forum really to support each other in how we can manage that worry, how we can allow that uncertainty to sit okay with us, and try not to allow it to take over too much of our time, because worry can be really time consuming, and it's not very nice. It's tiring, and it makes us feel nervous and on edge. So the idea is to really look at that and say, well, okay, it's all right to feel worried, it's all right to feel this way. Let's find some ways where you can find time to reclaim some of your life back, because I think at the moment so many people are finding the time is tough. So
there's been the ONS, the Office for National Statistics, have talked about, they've done research, and it's something like half of people who responded have said that they've experienced a lot of anxiety, and then something like 80% of people are worrying, are worried about how all this will affect them in the future.
And there's so much change. Change and uncertainty are some of the most difficult things for people to manage. Generally, as human beings, we find uncertainty difficult. We find big changes difficult, and we've had that in abundance, haven't we, in the last 3 months? So the course is designed to allow a bit of a forum where we can talk to each other, but also some hopefully some helpful ideas and techniques that you could try to apply in your life that will hopefully help in reducing the time spent worrying and be able to find some time of enjoyment again, and a bit more calm, and incorporate a sense of coping, really. Yeah. And we've also started our mindfulness, which we touched on a couple of times. So I've done that on Monday. So that's running every Monday evening at 7 and every Saturday at 4. And if you miss it, the mindfulness techniques that are uploaded into the course, so you can watch it at any time. So do sign up and come along. It's also a chance to connect with people. It's also a chance to just meet with the group and just say hello. And then
I was just gonna add about the trialogues. Can I briefly say about those, because we've got 2 mental wealth trialogue events built into our program, which we'll talk about on another Chit-Chat Cafe a bit more. But for those of you that have never heard of this bizarre name of trilogues, it's a way of bringing people together to talk about issues related to mental health generally, in a kind of, what can I say, it's a more kind of constructive way, isn't it? It's a way of exploring the issues around mental health. It's not about therapy, it's not having to share information about yourself, but it's about drawing on people's experiences and sharing the kind of our learning and lessons and ideas around how we can all kind of look after our mental health, or how services could develop, or how communities can help be more mentally healthy.
It's kind of like a big group brainstorm, really, isn't it, where we all just bounce ideas and knowledge around, and it's incredibly inspiring. And this will be the first time that we've done it online. We've almost done it online before, and then we haven't kind of actually managed to get that up together and plan it, and really the whole situation that's happened over the last couple of months has kicked us up the arse and said, come on, let's do this, because we know it could work.
We do. We think the model can work really well online, and a lot, lots of people can join in. But we have to see. So please do give it a go.
Do. It's such inspiring conversations, and the system that we use, we really believe it can work online. And if we can have a fairly large group, a good sized group, then it just becomes such an interesting and dynamic conversation. And as I say, really inspiring. Really would come away feeling quite energized from that connection with people, and that ability to just share and talk and learn from each other. It's amazing. I've had a couple of people have said good morning, and I think Sammy said good morning too, and Ness has said good morning. So hi guys. Did you have anything you wanted to say about online courses, or how you found getting online during this lockdown? Because I know it's pushed a lot of people to change the way that they're doing things. We'll just leave that open for a couple of seconds if anyone's got anything they want to share, because we really want to connect with you with these sessions. So
I know it's certainly pushed me out of my comfort zone going online.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not
No,
alone.
really, I'm getting better now, but really was very anxious in the early days about some of the stuff that I was having to do online. Yeah, quite an
We've,
eye opener.
we've turned to things online as a nation, maybe even internationally, to things that we wouldn't have dreamed could have worked online before. That people just would not have gone down that line. They would have just said, "Oh, that won't work," and it wouldn't have happened. And we're doing things, we're like teaching courses, like conferences, whole three. I've just signed up for a 3-day conference. It's all online.
Oh my god, I don't think I can face that.
Well, they reckon it's going to be really interactive. We'll see. But you wouldn't have dreamed of doing that before. You wouldn't have seen it. Nobody would have even thought about that being a possibility. And we're being forced to do things like that now. And some of it's working. Some of it is probably going to stick. Some of it may not. Some of it probably isn't working so well. But it's interesting. It's been really quite dynamic and in what's been going on and what's been tried. Well, like this, for instance, we didn't think we'd be doing this, live streaming a Zoom call.
I had a Zoom call at the weekend with my Canadian cousins,
Right.
who I hadn't seen one cousin I hadn't seen for like 40 years.
Wow.
Although we've kind of as families kept in contact, and we did go over to Canada about 15 years ago. It's kind of like, why hadn't we done this before? It was so lovely to kind of just connect up and chat, but we wouldn't have thought of it without all of this happening. It's
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. It does connect us across the globe. I've joined in a couple of creative things that have been online, so like some comedy improv stuff, where we've been doing some shows and all sorts in sort of live streams and things, really things you wouldn't have expected to be able to do this way, and connecting with people all across the globe. It's actually some of it's been really good. Some of it I'm hoping will stay.
Yeah.
Well, we've come to the end of our slot. So it's been really nice to catch up and share with you guys again. And we're back at 7 o'clock on Tuesday next week. That's our normal pattern, isn't it? Should we just?
Yeah.
Did you want to just check?
I'll just check that. Because it does get disrupted at some point, doesn't it? With the but I think we're.
I think that's when we do the trilogue, isn't it? That we
we change it a little bit,
yeah.
But yeah, definitely 7 o'clock next Tuesday, the 7th of July. So we'll be appearing on Facebook again.
Great stuff.
Please join us. All right. Bye-bye.